Expected win against Limerick, Waterford taking the points against Offaly, and Cork with that exciting victory over Tipperary. So then, Cyril, Farrell, let's take a look at the Division 1 table. As I said, we know the league final was another issue there as well.
Yeah, well, the big thing is that Cork and Galway are very happy to win the league final. They're going to have a meaningless match the next time, Michael. It won't matter. They'll probably use the panel, but it'll be a very good final probably in Torres. Now, there's the last round, a very important game between Dublin and Limerick. Now, whoever actually wins that game, the way the new rules are, if Limerick happen to beat Dublin, they're going to stay up because the new rules say that the scoring difference doesn't come into being. Or that's the way it seems to be anyway. So that's a very important
game. It's the result between the two teams if they end up level on points.
When you look at the centre as well, Michael, like we talk about Cork and Galway, you look at the middle three there, Kilkenny, Tip and Waterford, like they'll have a very big say in the All-Ireland Championship when all is said and done.
Of course they will. Yeah, OK, the rest of the results a little bit later on, but next here on the programme we're going to update you on a couple of today's games in Division 2 of the Hurling League. Now in a moment, the meeting of Kildare and Carlow in Newbridge, but first the game between Laois and Wexford in Portlaoise. Well, a place in the Division 2 final, very much the target for both counties here. Our reporter is Catherine Davis.
Laois were hoping the return of the talented Zane Keenan after a year out of the sport with a serious leg injury would inspire them to their first victory over Wexford at Portlaoise for 25 years. Wexford manager Colin Bonner made several changes in an attempt to fire up his charges, and it seemed to have the desired effect as Colin Farrell found the range after 90 seconds. Wexford already showing the determination to keep their record at Portlaoise intact. Tommy Fitzgerald replied for Laois, before Andrew Shore displayed his class with this great catch and effortless point to put Wexford in front again. Wexford were finding the range from all angles, and Dermot Ling's sideline cut and point was indicative of a side hoping for better days. With the half-time whistle looming, Wexford finally found a way past Owen Riley in the Laois goal. Peter Atkinson's run decisive as he put his side 5 points up. A Joe Fitzpatrick point reduced the margin, but Wexford still led by 1-8 to 5 points at the break. Wexford started the second half strongly and added 4 points before Laois sprung to life. Owen Costello finally opened their scoring, while a great run by John Delaney through the Wexford defence saw him pass to Keenan, and his finish showed just what Laois had missed in his year-long absence. Wexford responded with points from Ling and Rory Jacob before Owen Quigley completed the Wexford tally with this effort out on the right. The game ended on a sour note for Wexford though, when they lost Ling to a second yellow card after this incident, where Laois's Michael McAvoy also got a yellow, and incidents like this have no part in the game. In injury time, a point by Joe Fitzpatrick put respectability on the score, as Wexford won more convincingly than the 118 to 114 scoreline indicates.
We knew when the league was drawn up that this was going to be a very important game, and we were building towards it. And to be fair to our lads, they played with great purpose today and great team spirit, and it's always hard to come to Portlaoise. They were unbeaten up to this, so we're delighted to go away with a 4-point win, and it keeps us on track in terms of moving on.
Carlow travelled to Newbridge to take on Kildare, hoping to build on their recent momentum and continue their push for possible promotion to hurling's top table. And it didn't take them long to find their stride. Craig Doyle cracking home this fine goal to send them on their way. Questions must be asked, though, about the Kildare defence. And the scoring came easy to Carlow in the opening quarter. This point from centre-back Owen Doyle typified their efforts. Kildare struggled, and this Mark Maloney point was a rare first-half highlight as Carlow led by 8 points at the break, 1-8 to 3 points. The second half saw Carlow extend their lead, and Robert Foley's blocked shot was followed in by Pádraig Keogh as Kildare struggled with the Carlow attack. And then a mini Kildare revival. Goals from Mark Maloney and this one from David Carter brought the deficit back to just 6, 2-11 to 2-5. But Carlow held their nerve, and Robert Foley's strength and skill secured their third goal, and with it the vital league points. The full-time score, Carlow 3-14, Kildare 2-5.
You know, you tend to get ahead of yourselves and you start reading papers and listening to people. You start thinking you're better than you are all of a sudden, and thinking you don't have to work as hard. But to be fair, you know, we did it. They worked very hard earlier on and we picked it up, and I was very frightened to start the second half, particularly knowing Kildare are going to come very hard at you, and they're working very hard, and you'd know the fitness levels looking at them. But very happy to get through it, and we're still in with a shout here for this league.
So that's how it worked out in those two games, and now let's take a check on the rest of the results from this weekend's Alliance National Hurling League. So then, in Division 2, Down got that win against Antrim at Casement Park today, and Wexford also winning away from home, and so too as we saw Carlow, who took the points against Kildare. And in the last match there, which of course was played yesterday, Clare with a clear win over Westmeath. Well, now here's a look at the table. Michael Duignan, some very interesting matters to be decided in this particular division.
Yeah, it's been very competitive. You know, I think people thought at the start of the year it'd be Clare and Wexford in the final, having, you know, two of the top teams over the last number of years. But Carlow in particular and Laois have played some great hurling, and I think Carlow really have been the success story of Division 2 during the winter.
Carlow play Laois in that last match, and if they beat Laois, they'll make the final.
Yeah, they've been unreal really, because they have, I suppose, of all the leagues going and like of all the teams going, Carlow are the kind of the real success story. A lot of credit goes to Kevin Ryan and Jerry Fitzpatrick, doing great work. It'll be tough against Laois, because Laois will feel hurt losing today. It's going to be very tight, but you're probably going to wind up at the same time that will be a Clare Wexford final. Okay,
let's move on to Division 3B. Roscommon with a clear win over neighbours Sligo, Wicklow giving Tyrone a heavy beating, and Louth with a single point win over Fingal. Now Louth stays second in the table to Wicklow. Well, now we also have some results from Division 4 of the National Football League. Those games were played yesterday. Waterford with no problems against Kilkenny, Leitrim edging it against Longford, and also just a point between Limerick and Clare. Now Carlow came home from London with the league points. Now, Waterford and Clare at the top of the table. They play each other next week. Limerick in third place, in with a shout if they beat Leitrim. Very briefly, let's go back to the National Hurling League final, May 2nd, Cork and Galway, Cyril.
Well, I suppose it's unbelievable that Cork last year is going to have all the trouble, and this year during the league final, and they're unbeaten.
Could have been relegated last year.
The next game between Galway, that league, you know, the one that means no difference, they're probably going to just put out fringe players. But the final is going to be a good one. It'll be in Thurles, promises to be a great game. Galway are back at full strength, like the Portumna contingent are back again. Galway would feel that they have, it's like a big jigsaw, they have the pieces to put the pieces together. Cork will be very happy to have gone this far. Both will go, they will go flat out to have a win, and like it's anyone's game. Like, you know, as a Galway person, you'd be thinking Galway could do it, but just have the feeling all the year that it's kind of Cork's league started where they came from last year.
And it's a unique league final, as I said a moment ago there, first ever between Cork and Galway.
Yeah, and I suppose Kilkenny maybe haven't taken the league this year quite as seriously as other years. They're not there, and I think it's a great opportunity for both of them just before the championship for a cracking game down in Thurles. I think Cork looked very settled today, nearly back to full strength. I think Ben O'Connor will definitely be back, and, you know, one or two more changes, but I think Cork's year and Cork's league the same as Cyril. I think Cork will do it.
They of course have a little bit of a dress rehearsal next week as well before that.
They have, yeah, but that match I suppose will be trying out a few lads and trying a few changes. But Michael, if Galway win the league final, they've already won the Welsh Cup. The league final is only the second biggest title win, and then the win to All-Ireland. Maybe we'll have three out, but you never know.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Cyril, it's a while since there was silverware in Galway. Well, it's great because like the team are back again, the crowd are beginning to follow them again, and there's a kind of a new euphoria. The team seems to be coming together, and like if they can get their full act together, it's hard to know what's the best 15.
Yeah, but a very strong squad.
They have a strong team, like a strong squad. If they get it together, like they're capable of beating anyone on a given day. But what I would be afraid of is, while all the attention is on the league, and it promises a very good league final, I still have the feeling like that you look at Kilkenny, Tip and Waterford, out of one of them three, the All-Ireland winners could come.
There will be a little bit of a sigh of relief, by the way, in Galway this evening. They saw Joe Canning going off in that match with a little bit of an injury. It's nothing too important.
Yeah, I was talking to John Hardman. He just got cramps, and he'll be all right. He'll be fine for the final.
OK, lads, thanks very much indeed for that. And that brings us pretty much to the end of Sunday's sport for this week. Well, now, as usual, just before we go, we're going to take a quick look at what's coming up during the week on RTE television. M&S tomorrow night brings you up to date on all that's been happening over the weekend in the Airtricity League, and you can see that programme at 7 o'clock. Then, right after that, it's our Rugby Magazine programme, that's Against the Head, another busy weekend in the Magners and the AIB leagues. And then, looking ahead to next Sunday, well, it's getting down to crunch time in the Alliance National Football League. It's Tyrone versus Dublin and Armagh versus Donegal. They are our featured games here on the programme, and of course, it's 8 o'clock here on RTE2 television. But just for now, time for me to say a quick thank you to my guests here tonight. They, of course, were Cyril Farrell and also Michael Duignan. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed the rest of the Easter holiday. Until next week, bye-bye.